Hey, what is up, everybody? This is your boy AJTRIP, and welcome to the game according to me. We're gonna recap this past week in college football and in pro football, and we're gonna start off with the World Series. The World Series ended a couple days ago. The Los Angeles Dodgers beating the Tampa Bay Rays in a series 4-2 in some very controversial fashion. Controversial all around. First off, we have Kevin Cash, manager of the Tampa Bay Rays, taking out Blake Snell in the middle of the sixth inning, I believe. Um, as he was wearing out, he gave up a hit and he took him out. And this falls back on the whole analytics stuff. And for those of y'all who don't know about me, I am not an analytics person. I have not been about sabermetrics and analytics for the longest time. Ever since a couple years ago, when there was an actually legitimate debate among folks for who would be the MVP between Miguel Cabrera or Mike Trout, because Mike Trout has some extraordinary high WAR, but we have Miguel Cabrera over here hitting for the Triple Crown. But there was actually it was a dumb ass legitimate argument between numbnuts. No. So I have not been a fan of analytics whatsoever. And there's this analytics now that you're not shouldn't let pitchers go third time through the order. Well, you need to stop listening to the analytics sometimes and look at your eyes. And Blake Snell probably could have tried, to go through. They should have let him. If they were going to lose that game, it's just Blake Snell should have lost the form. It shouldn't have been Carl Anderson or whoever, Mike Anderson or whoever Anderson he was. It should have been Blake Snell who lost it. But instead, Kevin Cash took Blake Snell out, brought in this guy, a double by Mookie Betts, and then we had a wild pitch, and then we had more hits, and the Los Angeles Dodgers also came back and won the World Series. Congratulations with them. They played a fantastic playoffs, and in a shortened season, they did well as perfectly as well. And they were the best team. I think there was no doubt about that. They were the best team. But still, Kevin Cash and the Rays, it breaks your heart. It really does. It breaks your heart. And then afterwards, at some point in the seventh inning, Justin Turner is taken out. And it's not said why or anything like that until afterwards we found out Justin Turner tested positive for COVID-19. And what looks to have happened was that he was tested positive for COVID-19 the day before. And which that would have been a Monday, I guess. That would have been Monday. So they wanted to test him the next day to see if it was a false positive, and they let him play, which is probably the wrong idea. They let him play, and then when the test came back that day, found out yes, the test was true. It was a positive test, so they had to take him out. And then apparently he broke through all of the MLB security measures and things like that. He was supposed to know everybody and things like that. He decided to go out on the field and be with people. He was kissing his wife. He was out there with people. Dave Roberts, a cancer survivor, he was sitting next to him, wasn't wearing a mask. He was out there with Jock Peterson, who has a immunocompromised 1-year-old apparently, and so many other things as well could have been out there. He was out there, so that's another big story coming from Game 6 of the World Series. So we'll see what MLB deems the perfect punishment for Justin Turner, things like that. But yeah, he says, "What the hell? This is my only time I might win a World Series. I'm gonna celebrate with my friends and family." So that was the end of that. So what a wild and wacky season COVID made this 2020 season. It's gonna be interesting to see what they do next year. Are they gonna, because next year we're still gonna be feeling the effects of COVID next year as well. Because there's more than likely there won't be a vaccine until the middle of next year at the very least, at the very earliest. Um, and there's going to be a lot of other things. You know, who knows if people are still, if people haven't been masking and social distancing now, so who knows if they're not going to continue to do so. So who knows how the MLB will be doing their season next year. Would it be like this year? So would it be more games? Would it be 80 games? Would it be 162 games of just 3 divisions and 8 teams in each division or whatever? Will travel be an issue? Who knows? So will the minor leagues? This may decimate the minor leagues as well. Could the minor leagues be gone from this? You know. So there's a whole lot of questions that we can't answer at this point. But we had a baseball season. The Los Angeles Dodgers are the champions of that baseball season, and congratulations to them. So football was back in the Big Ten last Saturday. Big Ten was back. We had a lot of Big Ten games: Ohio State, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan, Minnesota. The big game was the Penn State Nittany Lions with the Indiana Hoosiers, and it went down, and we had a thing where the Penn State guy didn't, or was it the Indiana guy? So somebody didn't go down before the end zone, get into the end zone, scored the touchdown, which labeled the other team, come back, score, tie the game up, and then went to overtime, and they scored. But in an overtime game, the Indiana Hoosiers went for 2 to say, let's not keep going back and forth. Let's end this right now. They went for 2, and it was called on the field that they got the 2, and that they get the 2-point conversion. Replay showed that it looked like that, however, that the ball may have hit the ground before it hit the pylon, meaning that the ball would have been down. Before it crossed the plane, but it was because it was so close, and they called it on the field a good conversion. It stayed a good conversion, and Indiana upset the Penn State, who was ranked 5th or 6th at that time. And it was amazing finish to an amazing game. That considered that for a week, there was some really some masterful blowouts. Last week we had Wisconsin blowing out Illinois. We had Clemson blowing out Syracuse. North Carolina blowing out North Carolina State. Oklahoma destroying TCU. Ohio State whooping on Nebraska. Kansas State beating up on Kansas. We had Marshall taking out Florida Atlantic. Notre Dame doing some damage, looking finally like a team that could hang with Clemson. 45-3 beat Pittsburgh. Oklahoma State had a close game. They beat Iowa State 24-21. Alabama took out Tennessee. Jalen Waddle broke his ankle early in the game. Unfortunately for him, he's out for the season. And he's supposed to be a top draft pick. Maybe still will be. Who knows? But this awful injury to happen to Jalen Waddle. Hope for the best for your brother. Boise State taking out Utah State. Eastern Michigan blew out Minnesota. Cincinnati taking down SMU. BYU taking out Texas State, and Miami of Florida had a very close game with Virginia, 19-14. So some really blowout games this past week in the college football world. We're taking a look at this week. One game already canceled because of Wisconsin beating Illinois, but they've had so many people be taken out with COVID-19. They've had to cancel this game with Nebraska. Unfortunately, I don't believe it will be made up, so that sucks for them. But as we look at the schedule again, we have the battle for the Paul Bunyan Trophy, Michigan and Michigan State. We've got some Clemson taking out Boston College. That should be a thing. We got Notre Dame taking on Georgia Tech. That should be another scorcher. Don't forget, Clemson beat Georgia Tech 73-7. So Notre Dame wants to rub at Clemson. They've got it's got to be another 45, 50 point run up on Georgia Tech this week. So we will see where that goes. We got Texas, Oklahoma State, Mississippi State, and Alabama. Ohio State, Penn State looks to be one of the bigger games. It's the primetime game on ABC. This would normally be a whiteout game, but also fans. It won't be. Oklahoma beating Texas Tech, and we just got a lot of other games. I mean, let's take a look at the top 10 here. I think can we look at the top 10? Clemson is 1, Alabama is 2. Ohio State is 3, Notre Dame is 4, Georgia is 5. Let's see here. Oklahoma is 6. Cincinnati is 7. Texas A&M is 8. Doesn't look like the number 9 team is playing this week, so and number 10 is Florida. So we've got, and number 11 is BYU. So we've got some teams. We've got Cincinnati, we've got BYU, and we've got Notre Dame in that cusp of making it to the finals. We're gonna need a lot in the 2020, bringing us a lot of different things, and maybe just maybe maybe we can get some big upsets, and we can get Clemson and Alabama and Ohio State out of the playoffs, and somehow get Notre Dame, Cincinnati, and BYU, and maybe somebody else in to the college football playoff. But yeah, obviously the biggest game this week, Ohio State at Penn State, should be a good one. And with football, last week, week 7 started off with the Giants and Eagles Thursday night football game, which turned out to be a little bit of a barn burner. The Eagles scored on the last possession of the game to win 22-21. Big thing to come from that game, Daniel Jones, 80-yard run that he tripped and fell and stopped himself from scoring. Unbelievable, a meme that will live on for infamy. Unfortunately for that pro brother, hopefully Daniel Jones will turn out to be something of a good quarterback. Otherwise, he's going to be Mark Sanchez all over again. We looked at Sunday. Browns and Bengals had a really good game. Browns 37, Bengals 34. Unfortunately, the Bengals tore his ACL. Won't be last we see of him this year, and that sucks for that young man. It really does suck. Saints beat the Panthers 27-24. Bills had one of those days where the kicker just kicked 6 field goals, but the defense of the Bills kept the Jets intact, 18-10. The Cowboys, well, I just don't know. I thought they would be better. I've been an Andy Dalton guy for the longest time, and I thought they would have done the. I thought they would have been decent, a little bit more decent with Andy Dalton, but they gotta be honest. Andy Dalton has not played well, and he got injured. John Bostic had a hit on him this week and put him in concussion protocol. So it looks like they may play the rookie Ben DiNucci this upcoming game. But right now the Cowboys look to be in free fall. They really do, and so they could end up being with a very high draft pick, and who knows, maybe they could even take Justin Fields. Did you see that? Could you see the Cowboys, drafting Justin Fields? It's like the 4th or 5th pick, and it's just like wow. And then what do you do? They keep him and then get rid of Dak, who comes off their thing. So even though they said Dak was the future, Packers after the beating of they took from Tampa Bay, gave a beating to the Texans. The Atlanta Falcons had another fourth quarter collapse, letting the Lions drive down the field and score a touchdown to beat the Falcons 23-22. Buccaneers steamrolled the Raiders. Chiefs the Broncos in the snow. 49ers have their way with the Patriots. Boy, did they have their way with the Patriots. 33-6. Jimmy G getting a little revenge on this old team. The Chargers beat the Jaguars 39-29. The Cardinals upset the Seahawks 37-34 in overtime. Now Monday Night Football, the Rams show why my Bears are not a legitimate contender for the Super Bowl. 24-10. Just yeah. But the game of the weekend was the Steelers and the Titans. 27-24. Steelers won, but the Titans the Steelers got ahead of the Titans, but off of 3 Ben Roethlisberger interceptions, the Titans came back, and including on the last drive, getting ready to kick a field goal, and Steven Gostkowski missed it wide right, and that's a shame for the Titans. Titans still played well, showed that they are still a top team to beat, and yes, it is just fantastic. So, but the Steelers won 27-24. We look to this week, starting tonight, the Falcons and the Panthers. Christian McCaffrey will not play, but we will see what goes on. They don't need Christian McCaffrey to beat the Falcons. I believe they can beat the Falcons without Christian McCaffrey. The Vikings go to Sunday. The Vikings face the Packers. Titans and the Bengals. The Jets and the Chiefs. Le'Veon Bell makes his debut against the Jets. That should be interesting. Colts and the Lions. Steelers and the Ravens are probably the game of the week. This old school rivalry. The Ravens are good. The Steelers are back with Big Ben now, so still undefeated, and this should be incredible. Let's see if the Steelers defense can stop the running game of the Baltimore Ravens with Lamar Jackson. Patriots and the Bills. Bills have got to show up. You know, they've had some. They've kind of had some iffy one, even though they won this last one. So there's some iffy performances the past 3 games. So they need to take, while the Patriots are down, they need to take this division by the horns. They need to put the Patriots out of their misery this week. Josh Allen's got to step up, and he's got to play well. Tua gets his first start against Aaron Donald and the St. Louis in the Los Angeles Rams. Excuse me. So that's going to be a big game for Tua. See if he can do Raiders and the Browns, Chargers and the Broncos, Saints and the Bears, the 49ers and the Seahawks. Again, this should be a good one. The Seahawks coming off of a loss, a late second loss. The 49ers, big victory over New England. Let's see what happens. And these teams play such close games that you really can say throw out the record books, because this is going to be a fantastic one. The entire Western division of the NFC is incredible. Seahawks, Cardinals, 49ers, and Rams are all over 500. All have shots of making playoffs. All of them could make the playoffs as well. So it will be fun to see what happens there. We get a couple of stinkers for the prime times. We got the Cowboys and the Eagles. Again, what the Cowboys have, Ben DiNucci, quarterbacking, for them. Will they do anything on offense? And the Eagles are the Eagles. And then on Monday Night Football, get the Buccaneers and the Giants. Antonio Brown won't play, but he'll be able to play next week. And we'll see if Daniel Jones can stay upright for at least 20 yards. So, but yeah, you got Steelers and the Ravens, and then the 49ers and the Seahawks are probably the games of the week that you want to keep your eye. All right, you guys, thank you guys so much for listening. We're going to come back next week, talk about the stuff that happened this weekend in college football and pro football, any other breaking news and any other sports as well. So yeah, definitely make sure that you are going to want to be here. To wherever you're listening, make sure you're here to do it. So it's going to be fantastic. Thank you guys so much for listening. This is your boy AJTRIP signing off. As always, be good to each other, y'all. Be careful out there. And I am out.